Inuyashki was able to build one of the most endearing characters of the season in just one episode. Inuyashiki's first scene forces the obvious questions of his circumstances and backstory into everyone's mind. How did he end up here? Being ignored by literally everyone that he cares about in this world, when he's just trying so hard in order to make life just a little bit better for them. And because of this beautiful yet melancholy tone, you can see that it's something about him as an individual that caused his entire life up to this point to be entrenched in somber despair, and he's accepted his atrocious destiny, closing off all reality of freedom. In any case, his disparaged acceptance of a sealed fate is... This script sucks. Am I really going to spend an entire video talking about how in order to write good characters you need to get your audience invested by making it easy to care about them? Really? This is so basic that they would teach you that in public school. I'm not even saying anything interesting. I mean, hundreds of people on YouTube have talked about this on podcasts, videos, and even Let's Plays. In fact, I'm literally plagiarizing directly from Nuxtaku's video, How to Write a Brilliant Character in One Episode, The Ancient Magus Bride, Mahotsukai no Yome. More or less word for word, but like, here's the deal. So, supposing if I were to reach 1,000 subs, I would finally be inclined enough to go out and buy a decent microphone so my audio doesn't sound like it was recorded on a potato. I need to capitalize on my recent spike in subscriber growth in order to keep all of my viewers from unsubscribing before they realize that my points are stupid and that sitting through bad audio isn't really worth it in the end. Well, my girl's last tour video is doing very well for mildly interesting. It's still steadily growing in terms of views even though I put that video out almost a month and a half ago, so I must have done something right. Plus, that was by far the easiest mildly interesting to edit. So, okay. Obviously the main reason why it's gaining views is because it's relevant. It's a currently airing show that's been steadily climbing the ranks of the MAL seasonal popularity chart. Bigger YouTubers all gave shoutouts to it in the beginning of the season, but no one really made an outright video on it. Like, there were some people reacting to it on a weekly basis like Chibi Reviews, but no one had really made a fully scripted and edited video. So basically I had a monopoly on all the views that would eventually go towards a somewhat analytical review of the show, and then Pedantic Romantic made a video about it, but whatever. So basically, if I want to maintain my channel growth, I'm going to have to do something similar. Well, for the sake of brevity, let's say that after looking over all of the information presented to me about the current state of anime analysis / review content viewership, I decided that making a video about a currently airing show is the way to replicate this success and grow my channel faster. So after taking a cursory look at the top 12 shows of the season in terms of popularity as listed on MAL, because otherwise no one would care if I made a video or not because we're already in that point of the season because most people won't pick up or will have tried most of the shows that aren't already in the top 12, I know that I definitely won't be able to make videos on a few of them. That's still okay, because this is generally when shows get into the most interesting and discussed part of the show, the introduction of the third act, or its first main core-long climactic build-up if it's a show with 2 cores. However, this also means that most of the bigger Anitubers have already started to pump out their own videos. Mother's Basement had jumped directly onto the Black Clover hype train as it began, and was able to successfully do so because he'd read the manga, and there really wasn't that much to say about it. Gigguk followed suit and took the only other stance on Black Clover that could be viewed as reasonable, while not being a complete carbon copy of the stance of Mother's Basement. Jeff also did a video on Food Wars that didn't do so hot relative to his usual view counts, but this was probably partially because it had some copyright issues when it first went up, but it's also probably in part because it's about a show releasing its 3rd season, by which most of its initial fans probably would have already jumped ship. So got it. Stay away from sequels unless it's My Hero Academia. Cool. So that's the 2nd and 3rd most popular shows gone. Girl's Last Tour is out because I already made a video about it. A Sister is All You Need and Blend S are both out because I wouldn't be able to make a video on them individually without making it about the larger movement of the post 4 girls go through high school show age of otaku bait trash. Osama Game the Animation has a sub 6 score on MAL and comes from a studio that mostly does porno VAs, so it must be pretty bad. Plus the title has the animation in it. I doubt I'd have much to say about it. Kekai Sensen Season 2 is out because I already kinda sorta made a video about it, and it's a sequel. So that leaves, in order of popularity, The Ancient Magus Bride, Inuyashki, Juni Taisen, Net-juu no Susume, and Just because these all seem like pretty good candidates, but this list definitely can be further narrowed down. The Ancient Magus Bride seems like the prime target, so I must avoid it because everyone and their mother has already made a video raving about it. If I were to watch it and dislike it for legitimate and supportable reasons, the video would probably traffic well. However, the show has 2 cores, so there's still time to stew on it, and it'll probably continue to generate hype as it continues into next year. Therefore, I'm shelving it for now. Junin Taisen looked pretty interesting, a battle royale with slick animation and cool character designs written by Nisio Oisin. Like him or not, the semantics of Nisio Oisin generally are at least interesting in the way that they are presented. Thus, the show looked ripe for analysis. And then I actually watched it and finally understood its somewhat middling score on Mal. Its production is nowhere near as tight as the first episode would have you believe, and the only thing of real note to take away from it is simply how predictable its unpredictability is. Furthermore, the character backstories are generic and all kind of bleed together, and while there's a lot of talking in the show, none of it's that interesting. How disappointing. Plus, Glass Reflection already made a video about it. Junin Taisen is shelved. So that leaves 3 shows to discuss out of the initial 12 that I noted. All 3 of these seem pretty promising as well. Inuyashiki has a score higher than an 8, which is usually a good sign, and is based off of a relatively popular manga by the guy that made Gantz. Its character designs are also kind of refreshing, with smaller facial features than what are typical of anime nowadays, though they kind of also remind me of Parasite, and oh hey, the director of Inuyashiki worked on Parasite. No one's really made an analysis video on it, so this niche is ripe for the picking. Just Because is this season's original show, so there's that. Plus it was made by the newly formed studio Pine Jam that made the 3rd biggest show of last season, Gamers, so it definitely seems interesting if not only for the novelty of its existence. Plus, while Just Because seems to be a slice of life drama, I know that Pine Jam has at least some cool webgen animators because the Gamers OP has some pretty cool action shots in it. Recovery of an MMO Junkie seems like it'd be a solid watch too, with some sprinklings of themes about social isolation and likely will be a hit with the older anime audience, so long as its central plot conceit is properly utilized and the romance is properly paced. The idea of a virtually gender-swapped romance is also pretty interesting in itself, and it could easily contain an interesting and playful dynamic between the 2 main love interests. So cool, out of the 3 I have left, all 3 look pretty good, so all I need to do is go through all of these shows and decide on one, and then find something interesting to say about it, then script a video, then edit it, and then, well, that's an issue. Currently, we're about 10 weeks into the fall 2017 season, and that's kind of an issue time-wise. Basically, I have about 2 weeks until all of the single core shows end, and about 3 weeks until they stop being relevant. So assuming that all of these shows have episode runtimes of about 24 minutes, I have about 12 hours of anime to watch in order to properly develop all of my thoughts on it while not being accused of not knowing what I'm talking about. Sure, 12 hours may not seem like a lot, but keep in mind that most shows are about 5 hours total. Plus, those 12 hours have to be split up over several days, which I really don't have, especially after factoring in the fact that I need to, sleep and eat and am a student, and that's just watching the shows. Then I have to actually come up with something to say. Sure, I guess I could just say something vapid about the basics of character writing and get lots of views simply because the show that I'm talking about is relevant and people agree with the general sentiment of what I'm saying. Sure, I could, but I don't want to. I just want to say stuff that's meaningful and at least mildly interesting. I want to get popular based on merit, not relevancy. But who cares, I need to get to 1,000 subs. So I guess I'll talk about how sympathetic a main character is or something. I still need to write a script for it, even if the idea itself is basic and boring. I then need to record it, edit it down, then edit in visuals, which could easily eat up all of my free time for the next 3 weeks or so. So by then I'll have a hastily thrown together, mildly boring video that will probably net me a couple more subscribers or something. Big whoop. Wait. I didn't even do that. Instead, I wrote a script about vague Anituber problems about getting subscribers. In conclusion, Inuyashiki is the new savior of anime because it has the most down-to-earth and sympathetic protagonist ever crafted in the medium. It's a 10 out of 10. No, an 11 out of 10. Give me subscribers. Please. Thanks for watching the video. I'm sorry for the clickbaiting, but hopefully you know that it was in service of something. But anyways, about the sequelitis thing, I didn't get that many comments about it, but I might just do it as its own video. But don't expect anything from it, because if you do, you might be disappointed. But, you know, thanks for the support, and have a nice day.